Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're uncovering those invisible digital walls that actually protect our most sensitive data from modern threats. We're going to look closely at how organizations build their defenses, who is really knocking at the door, and those massive systems working behind the scenes to keep the wrong people out.
$4.67 million. Yeah. According to IBM's Cost of a Data Breach report, that is the average cost of a credential-based data breach. And listen, this isn't just some quick smash-and-grab scenario. These specific types of attacks take an average of 246 days to detect and contain. Just imagine an intruder wandering around your house in the dark for over 8 months before you even realize they're there. That is exactly what we're dealing with in the digital realm.
So this staggering financial reality kind of forces us to ask a pretty terrifying question. Who is actually logging into your network? Because today, it's not just human employees sitting at their desks, right? Our networks are absolutely flooded with autonomous AI agents, automated workloads, and remote devices constantly knocking on our digital doors. Distinguishing the good guys from the bad guys? It's never been more complicated, and the stakes have literally never been higher.
All right, moving into Section 1, the Cybersecurity Triad, building the foundation of defense.
Before we really unpack how modern enterprise security actively works to sort out all those digital identities, we've got to touch on the foundational philosophy governing all digital defense. At its core, information security exists to protect systems from harm, specifically from unauthorized disclosure, theft, or damage. But how do you actually enforce that in a complex, modern enterprise? Well, it all comes back to a golden rule in the industry, the CIA-Triad.
And this triad, it is absolutely non-negotiable. It ensures that confidentiality, strictly restricts unauthorized access through methods like encryption, it guarantees integrity, preventing data tampering using things like checksums and version controls, and finally it ensures availability, guaranteeing the system reliably works with redundancies when authorized users actually need it. Every single security decision an organization makes ties directly back to maintaining these three foundational pillars. If even one falls, the whole shebang is compromised.
Which brings us to Section 2, the modern threat landscape. When the walls are breached.
So how does this fit into the modern threat landscape? Well, hackers are finding incredibly clever new ways to bypass those fundamental walls we just talked about. The old methods of brute force hacking, where someone basically tries to smash through the firewall, they're increasingly being replaced. Attackers are literally just walking through the front door using stolen keys. In fact, credential theft now accounts for 10% of all data breaches. I mean, why break the window when you can just steal the house key?
But what's genuinely alarming is the broader context of this identity abuse. IBM's X-Force reports that a staggering 30% of cyber attacks now involve the theft and abuse of valid user accounts. Almost a third of all attacks rely on a hacker successfully pretending to be someone who's actually supposed to be there. This completely undermines the confidentiality part of our CIA triad, mostly because the system genuinely believes the user is legitimate. The call is quite literally coming from inside the house.
Let's move on to Section 3, authentication versus authorization. The guard at the gate versus the keys to the castle.
To stop these credential-based attacks, organizations have to enforce a strict separation between proving who you are and proving what you can do. Getting these two concepts confused is a massive vulnerability. Authentication is essentially the guard checking your ID at the gate. It verifies a user's identity before granting access using passwords, biometrics, or multi-factor authentication. Authorization, on the other hand, represents the specific keys determining which rooms you can open once you're inside. It dictates the exact level of access granted after login, usually through role-based permissions and access control lists.
Think of it like an online bank. Once the system has authenticated the input, it enables the account holder to perform only transfer operations on the funds. So, multi-factor authentication proves it's you logging in, but strict authorization limits what you can actually do, like ensuring a joint account holder can only perform specific permitted actions without altering core account settings. This strict division protects the entire database's overall integrity. You might be in the building, but you certainly can't open the vault.
Now for Section 4, Identity and Access Management, the grand architect of digital security.
This brings us to the modern automated defense grid, Identity and Access Management, or IAM for short. This is the cybersecurity discipline dealing with provisioning and protecting digital identities and user access permissions. You can think of IAM as the grand architect of a network. It ensures that the right people, and increasingly, like we mentioned earlier, non-human AI workloads, can access the right resources for the right reasons at exactly the right time.
And the really crucial point here is how IAM limits damage. It does that through the principle of least privilege.
This rule dictates that users are granted only the lowest permissions necessary to complete a task. By enforcing this principle, IAM ensures that even if an identity is somehow compromised, the attacker's lateral movement across the network is severely restricted. So, if a hacker steals a junior analyst's password, they don't suddenly get access to the CEO's administrative controls. The blast radius is completely contained.
Which leads us nicely into Section 5, the 4 IAM pillars, operationalizing the defense.
To make this incredibly complex identity fabric function securely across massive multi-cloud environments, these 4 operational pillars have to work in perfect harmony. First up, administration creates and manages the digital identity lifecycle. Think onboarding a new hire or immediately deprovisioning a departing employee. Second, authentication verifies that identity when they log in, using tools like passkeys or adaptive MFA. Third, authorization grants specific role-based access control, ensuring they only see what they absolutely need to see. And finally, auditing meticulously tracks and logs every single action they take to ensure strict regulatory compliance with frameworks like GDPR or SOX.
Now, why does all of this matter to the bottom line? Well, by actively managing these pillars, IAM drastically limits the lateral movement of attackers. It dynamically adapts to the explosive growth of remote work and AI agents. And incredibly, according to IBM, implementing robust IAM technology reduces the average financial cost of a data breach by nearly $190,000. It creates this unified, secure identity fabric that is absolutely necessary for today's complex, borderless business models.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, and you think about how easily a single stolen credential can bring down an entire enterprise network, I want to leave you with this final thought. Ask yourself this question about your own digital footprint. In a world dominated by AI agents and multi-cloud networks, is your digital identity a lock or a vulnerability? Keep that in mind as you navigate your digital spaces.